Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gina Marie Agdarian. I am the author of The Letters in the Old House, available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle. I will have a link to purchase the book in the description below. So today is another episode of Book Talk. This is a series where I talk about a book that I recently read, what I liked, what I didn't like, and ultimately help you determine if you would like to read this book. So today I'm talking about In My Dreams, I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. And I just finished this book last night and I have thoughts. First off, I normally in my reviews, if you follow my account, you know I typically don't give spoilers, but this is going to be a somewhat spoilery video. So if you haven't read this book or you don't want to hear the spoilers, you may want to skip this book and come back to it after you've read it. So last night I actually reviewed it on Goodreads. I did give it a 3 out of 5. I'm actually now thinking of giving it a 2 out of 5. So I'll officially say this gets a 2 out of 5. So what the premise of the book is, it's this woman who's 32 years old. She's going back to her old college where she obviously graduated from. She's living in New York City. She's a consultant. She just made partner and she's going back for homecoming. I don't really understand why she was going back for homecoming. It sounded like it was almost this class of 2009 reunion, and she goes back and she sees all of her old college friends, and there was a group of friends that she had. They were called the East House 7, named after the dorm that they were all in at one point. And one of her friends was murdered the February before their graduation in 2009. The murder was never solved. So of course, everybody in the friend group is a suspect. So we're hearing what happened, everybody's secrets, like who, was gay and not out yet, and all this stuff that was coming out. So now, before I go further into this, and I'm sorry if this video is all over the place, but before I go any further into this does have a timeline where it's the present, then going back to the past, then the present going back to the past, which under normal circumstances I love because it usually ties up really nicely at the end. And I usually love that type of writing where one chapter is the present, next chapter is the past, and you kind of see how the past influenced the present. In this case, the back and forth between the past and the present was extremely confusing because the author would be in the present and then she would go to the past of like sophomore year of college. Then she'd go to the present and then she'd go back to freshman year of college. And the book felt so disjointed that I could not really keep up with what was going on, who was doing what. There were so many little details and almost too many characters, which I normally don't say that, but there were just too many people to keep track of, and I honestly stopped caring about halfway through, but I felt like I was committed and in too deep, so I had to finish the rest of it. The writing was good. Like, this author definitely has writing chops. Just the storytelling was so all over the place. The other thing I absolutely did not like was that this woman, the narrator, Jessica Miller, two things. Number one, she is literally obsessed with getting her father's approval on everything and trying to live out what her father's dream would have been if he didn't become an addict of pain medication and I believe alcohol as well, which is obviously very difficult for a family. But she was so obsessed with fulfilling his dreams that he never fulfilled. And it just seemed like she was truly one of the most annoying characters I've read in a while in a book. That was number one. Number two, these characters all felt like this college group of friends that they had, the East House 7, it just felt like that was the most important thing ever in their lives. And granted, when you're young, you're in your late teens, early 20s, everything is so heightened. Your emotions are so heightened. Everything feels like such a big deal. And when you look back on it, it actually really wasn't. But even as adults, it was like there was no personal growth between 2009 to the present. And that was what was one of the very aggravating parts of this book. A third aggravating part of this book was that I did not understand why any of these people were friends. Now, their one friend was murdered, and I'm not going to reveal who the murderer was, but it's kind of a whodunit. And it's actually a really decent premise for a book. It was just executed in such a choppy way, but I really wanted to understand why these people were even friends, because it just seemed like everybody hated each other. Like on the surface, they were all BFFs, and then when they start really revealing their secrets, we realize, oh wow, these people all really hated each other, and they all had animosity towards each other, and who was cheating on this one, and who secretly liked that one, and it was just so utterly confusing. I didn't understand why these people were friends with each other. I didn't understand why their college group of friends was like such a big deal, that it was this group and it was just like the be all end all for everybody. And I just honestly, I left this book feeling like, what was the point of that? Because it just did not feel like a cohesive story. And at the end, spoiler alert if you have not read this book yet, but the main character ends up with one of the guys that she like had a crush on and was hooking up with through college, cheating on her boyfriend with, and he was engaged to her best friend. And she basically stole her best friend's fiance from her. And it just felt so like she's happy at the end because she's with him, but these were all terrible people in this book. But nobody really had any redeeming qualities with the exception of maybe one of them, I think her name was Caroline or Carolina, I forgot. But it was just a jumbled mess. And I really wanted to love it because I love the dual timelines and I love thrillers, and it sounded like a really good premise for a story, and it just did not click for me. Your mileage may vary, you may not get confused, and you may love it, but I'm a pretty avid reader, and this just felt so all over the place, like just a bunch of puzzle pieces that just didn't fit together. And at one point I'm just like, let me just finish this because I'm in too deep at this point. So anyway, In My Dreams, I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this book or if you didn't enjoy this book like myself. And as always, guys, happy reading.